Okay, guys, so we simplified rational expressions. We multiplied them, we divided them, we added them, we subtracted them. Now we're going to solve equations that involve rational expressions. Okay, so the difference now is there's an equal to sign, and we have to find x. You might not realize this, but when you were solving proportions, you were solving rational equations. Okay, we just called it a proportion when you have one rational expression equal to another rational expression, it forms a proportion. Now, the way you learned to solve a proportion was something called cross multiply, which a lot of people do get mixed up. Okay, that they and we use it at times that we're not supposed to, but it does work to cross multiply when you just have one rational expression equal to another rational expression. In other words, we were told to take 20 times x minus 2. And we realized that that's going to equal 5 times 3x minus 5. Okay? So we want to find the x that makes that true. So we'll distribute 20. 20 times x is 20x. 20 times 2 is 40. We'll distribute 5. 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times 5 is 25. We get our x's on one side. Okay. By subtracting 15x from both sides, we get our numbers that don't have x on the other side. We have 5x equals 15. So x is 3. We should probably check that that works. If I put 3 in here, 3 times 3 is 9. 9 minus 5 is 4. And 20 divided by 4 is 5. If I put 3 in here, 3 minus 2 is 1. And 5 divided by 1 is 5. So the left side does equal the right side when x is 3. Okay? Well, I want to show you why that works. Whenever we're solving a rational equation, okay, we want to multiply everything by the common denominator, just like you found a common denominator when you were adding and subtracting. So our common denominator would be 3x minus 5 times x minus 2. So I'm going to multiply this side by 3x minus 5 over x minus 2. And I'm going to multiply this side, by 3x minus 5 times x minus 2. And when I do that, when I multiply this side, I cross out the x minus 2's, and I'm just taking 5 times 3x minus 5. When I do that over here, I cross out the 3x minus 5's, and I'm taking 20 times the x minus 2. And then we go about our business, okay? The reason I'm showing you that second process is because that's what we're going to use for the times that we don't have just a fraction equal to a fraction. You're multiplying by the least common denominator, okay? The greatest common denominator, and then we cancel whatever we cancel, and we end up getting the cross products. So for now, when I see just one fraction equal to another fraction, I am going to solve that like a proportion. I'm going to multiply x times x, and I'm going to multiply -1 times x squared minus 2. That gives me x squared equals -x squared plus 2. I distribute my -1 through. If I add x squared to x squared, that gives me 2x squared equals 2. If I divide by 2, I get x squared equals 1. And when I take the square root, I get x equals plus or minus 1. Okay, 1 squared is 1, and -1 squared is 1. I get 2 answers this time. Okay, let's see if they work. When I put -1 in, I get -1 over 1 minus 2 is -1. -1 over -1 is 1. -1 over -1 is 1. When I put 1 in, let's see, that gives me 1, I get 1 over negative 1, that's negative 1, and negative 1 over 1 is negative 1. Okay, so you just check that they both work, and we're good. Over here, we're going to cross multiply again. I'm going to have x minus 3 times x plus 2. That should equal what I get when I take x times x plus 5. Foiling this out, we get x squared plus 2x minus 3x. That's minus x, and then negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Taking x through here, we have x times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. I'm going to subtract x squared from each side. I'm going to add x. I get negative 6 equals 6x. Dividing by 6 gives me that x equals negative 1. I'm going to double check that I did my everything correctly. If I put negative 1 in for x, negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. Negative 1 plus 5 is positive 4. So this side becomes negative 4 over positive 4, which is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 2 is positive 1. Negative 1 divided by positive 1, yep, that's negative 1. So I'm confident that that answer is correct. Okay, so you will try these for your homework, okay? After we're done, I'd like you to try these, not on your whiteboard, but just on your note sheet. Now that you have that, guide to follow, my notes from the front. Guys, this case, if this is bothering you, that there's no denominator, you can always write 2 as 2 over 1. Okay, and then hopefully you can see what you cross multiply. Okay, so that'll be for you to do here in a little bit. All right, now the second example. Notice I don't just have a fraction equal a fraction. I have a fraction plus another fraction equal a fraction. Cross multiplying doesn't work. This isn't a proportion. Okay, I don't just have a fraction equal a fraction. So now I do have to look at all the denominators. Okay, 3x, 6, and 3x. And I want to the greatest common denominator. So I look at the numbers 3 and 6. They all go into 6. X and x. 6x is my common denominator. And I am going to multiply everything times 6x. I'm going to take 6x times this, 6x times this, 6x times this. Okay, you're allowed to do that with an equation as long as you multiply everything by the same number. I might have to go off to the side to show you what happens when I take 2 over 3x times 6x. X's cancel, 3 goes into 6 twice. I end up with 4. What happens when I take 1/6 times 6x? Well, it looks like the 6's cancel. I have 1 times x, which is x. What happens when I take 4 over 3x times 6x? X's cancel, 3 goes into 6 twice, 4 times 2 is 8. Look at this. By multiplying each term by 6x, I wiped out the denominators. I have an algebraic equation that I'm used to solving. I subtract 4 and get x equals 4. Okay, and then we can check that and make sure it works. You don't have to go off to the side to do this. I was just trying to show you what we're doing with each of those. Here, my common denominator is x minus 2 times x plus 2. My two denominators that I have here. Okay, this denominator is really 1. When I take this times this, the x minus 2 crosses out. I'm left with 1 times x plus 2. Well, that's x plus 2, right? Now we'll go to the next term. I'm going to take x minus 2 times x plus 2 times 2. Well, that's just what I said. There's nothing to cancel out. There's just a 1 at the bottom. The next one, the x plus 2's cancel, and I have 3x times x minus 2. Again, we've wiped out all the denominators. So now we need to distribute here. I have x minus 2 times x plus 2, which I need to multiply together. That's x squared plus 2x minus 2x. That goes away. Minus 4. Here we have 3x squared minus 6x. Now I'll take my 2 through the x squared minus 4. I get 2x squared minus 8. And now I can start combining like terms. I want to get all my x squareds over here. I'm going to subtract 2x squared from the 3x squared. That'll give me x plus 2 minus 8. I might as well just write minus 6. The 2 minus 8 is negative 6. And 3x squared minus 2x squared, of course, is x squared. I'll subtract x. I'll also add 6. When I subtract x from negative 6x, I get negative 7x. And when I add 6, I get 6. Factoring that, the only thing that multiplies to 6 and adds to 7 would be 6 times 1. Both being negative would give me x squared minus 6x minus 1x is minus 7x plus 6. My two answers are x equals 1 or x equals 6. I could double check them. I'm saying that when x equals 1 or x equals 6, that the left side equals the right side. So I'm going to put x equals 1 in. That gives me 1 over, what's 1 minus 2? Negative 1? 1 over negative 1 is negative 1, plus 2 is 1. 3 divided by 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Great. The left side equals the right side when I stick 1 in for x. How about 6? 1/4, right? 6 minus 2 is 4. 1/4 plus 2 is 2 1/4. This is 18 divided by 8. 18 divided by 8 is 2. 8 goes into 18 2 times, right? That'd be 16 with 2 left over. 2 and 2/8, which is the same as 2 1/4. Okay. So I would like you to do that one now. Okay. Similar to how we did this last one, I will give you a hint to factor this into 2x plus 1, 2x minus 1, so you know what to multiply everything by for the least common denominator. Okay? All right. There's nothing different here except for the fact that in their final answer, it's not going to work out because sometimes you, like in other words, I might get the answer to be 3, and then when I try to check it, 3 minus 3 gives me 0, and I can't divide by 0. So if that happens, then there's just no solution, okay? This factors into x minus 3x plus 1. So actually, I'm just going to cross multiply this one since it's just a fraction equals a fraction. 2, and so I didn't really need to factor it since I'm just cross multiplying. 2 times x squared minus 4x minus 6. I took the 2 times it, so I don't need the parentheses. Getting nervous because it's almost time. Okay, 2x squared minus 4x minus 6 equals x minus 3. So when I subtract x over with the negative 4x and add 3 over with the negative 6, this is what I get. And that factors into 2x plus 1x minus 3. My answers are x is either equal to 3 or negative 1/2, but I can't have 3. I'll explain that in the next video.